Today I'm trying a vintage recipe for heavenly rice pudding. Can we talk about this gorgeous, gorgeous photograph? I feel like this particular image just conveys the word dessert. You look up dessert in the dictionary, this is what you're going to see. It's almost cartoonish, how perfect it is, how beautiful with the cherry on top and everything. I think today's main goal for me anyway is to get my dish to look as much like this one as possible. I think this recipe is also called glorified rice. And because I've seen other recipes called glorified rice, and it's something like this with sort of like a whipped cream with rice and fruit and all kinds of things. This is a Mary Blake recipe. And if you've watched my channel for a little while, you know how I feel about Mary Blake and her Carnation milk cookbooks. I've tried one other recipe where I had to whip Carnation milk, and in order to do that, you kind of have to freeze it for a little bit, let it form some ice crystals. Supposedly it's better and easier and more cost effective than actually buying whipping cream and doing it yourself. That's debatable, at least nowadays. I would put this recipe probably somewhere in maybe like early to mid 60s. That's just kind of what I'm getting from this image. So maybe back then it was less common to make your own whipped cream from heavy cream. It is nice also that evaporated milk is shelf stable, so it's something that you can just have in your pantry and kind of pull out in emergency. And maybe that was the purpose of this recipe originally. Can I make my heavenly rice look like this? We're gonna find out. The first thing I'm going to do is freeze my evaporated milk. No, I'm not using Carnation evaporated milk. Sorry, Mary. I have a lot of vintage gadgets and kitchen items that I use on my videos. The one thing I don't have is a refrigerator tray. So I'm gonna be using this bread pan. From my understanding, a refrigerator tray is kind of like a metal ice cube tray without the dividers, or dividers that can be removed. Let's start by shaking up my milk because it says to shake well. And I think this is how you open evaporated milk. If you're not going to use the whole can. Oh no. And we need 2/3 of a cup. So now I need to pop this into the freezer until soft ice crystals start to form around the edges. The recipe says it'll take 15 to 20 minutes. Who knows? The recipe says that your crushed pineapple must be well drained. I'm just gonna set this aside and let it drain for a bit while I work with the other ingredients. I have 1.5 cups of cooked chilled rice. I actually just cooked some instant rice and let this sit in the fridge overnight. This recipe would also be a great way to use up leftover rice if you have any. Next, we have either 1.5 cups of diced marshmallows or 1 cup of coconut. I'm opting for the 1 cup of coconut. Part of me is like, why not use both? Maybe if I make this again, I like to try as much as I can to stick to the recipe the first time I make it. Oh yes, a little bit of a coconut mess there. 1/4 of a cup of diced maraschino cherries. 1/4 of a cup of chopped nuts. I'm opting for sliced almonds here. Originally I was gonna go walnuts, but I thought like cherries and almonds, like that just sounds great together. I think I drained this pineapple about as well as I can. And don't worry, I'm gonna save this juice and use it in something. A smoothie, I don't know, maybe I'll just drink it, but save your pineapple juice. Actually, I think this is probably this is like 1/2 cup. I'm not gonna measure it. Okay, even this color combination right now, it's a party in there. It's red, it's yellow, it's white. Stir that up to combine. Okay, dry. It's real dry in here. And this is kind of where we're at right now. I'm gonna check on that Carnation in the freezer. I'm pretty sure it's not ready. Yeah, no, not at all. I'm gonna take just like a little tiny break until the milk is ready. This didn't take 15 minutes. This took more like 35 minutes. Mary Blake lied to you. But now we do have our soft ice crystals around the edge. They're kind of broken up a little bit, but you can see. So this whole like whipping thing takes place in a couple of parts. First, I have to whip this in a bowl. I still feel like this is more trouble than whipping like whipped cream. So this is kind of like soft peaks. So now I have to add 2 tablespoons of lemon juice and then whip it for a little bit longer until it's very stiff. Lemon juice. I'd say that's very stiff, like just kind of pulling the beaters away. Lastly, we have the powdered sugar that goes in, and that is 1/2 of a cup of powdered sugar. The powdered sugar almost seemed to deflate this a little bit, like maybe the powdered sugar is just kind of like heavier. feel like it was fluffier and airier before. It is like rapidly decreasing in volume, and I think I might be over mixing it, so we're gonna stop. But I am gonna give this a little taste before we mix everything together. It tastes like sweetened condensed milk. It's like fluffy sweetened condensed milk. It has that kind of cooked milk taste, of course, but then like with the addition of the lemon and the sugar, it tastes so much like sweetened condensed milk. That is funny. So we're bringing back the beginnings of our recipe, and we're gonna combine these two things. So now I get to fold this whipped carnation into this rice mixture with my fruit and everything. And I'm really thinking I should have gotten a bigger bowl. Like, why don't I ever learn? Folding gently, because I don't want to deflate this any further. It does seem so dry though. This is like not that fluffy. And I tried to like drain the maraschino cherries and like dry them off as best I could, but it's still kind of tinting everything a little bit pink, which isn't bad, but it's not how it looks in the photo, is it? This looks like any good old Midwestern salad. I think that's it. Well, it doesn't look like a lot in the bowl, so let's see if I can make this look a little more heavenly. This recipe is supposed to serve 6, but not if you throw them in a goblet like this. Make it neat. Try to make it neat. So how did I do? Not as pristine and beautiful, dare I say heavenly as the photo, but this is about the best I could do. Let's give it a try. It's not heavenly. It's not like bad, but I think this certainly looks better than it tastes. Maybe I should have used marshmallows instead of coconut. Part of the issue is textural. Got like sort of the dry rice grains, and then you have the shredded coconut, and it's kind of like chewing grass. Because then, I mean, on top of the shredded coconut, you have like the fibrous pineapple. And maybe it needs some time in the fridge. The recipe doesn't say that you need to chill it overnight, but I feel like the flavors would kind of mesh a little bit better if you gave them time to get to know each other. This would be better with the marshmallows. Don't go all marshmallows, all coconut. Go like half the amount of marshmallows and half the amount of coconut. It just needs a little help with the texture, I would say. So have you tried heavenly rice, or maybe you have another name for it? I'd love to hear your experience, so please let me know in the comments. If you love vintage desserts like I do, I have an entire playlist and I will link it in the description down below. Hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I post videos about food, vintage cookbooks, and retro recipes every week. Thanks again, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.